So one of the podcasts I was listening to that you were on, you were doing these 100-mile bike rides. Are you still doing
Yeah.
those? Like, what's your training like with the bikes?
Yeah, I'm still doing those. It's just something I fell in love with. I think we all have something, whether it's fitness related or health related, that just is kind of our grounding. And for me, that was just teaching discipline, endurance, and just focus of doing 100 miles like on a road bike is not the most exciting things.
Right.
Hopefully, it's not exciting, but you're just there with you and the bike, so you kind of get into the zen-like state.
Yeah.
And it's a way just to like unplug, like don't bring any music or anything like that. Just like pedal.
Dude, I don't know if you struggle with this, but I certainly do, which is running an e-commerce business, always being on the phone, the computer, like taking breaks from the phone. And it's really hard for me to do. That's why I love surfing so much and Muay Thai and stuff, because I can't be on my phone, which is great. I absolutely love that. Is that
Yeah,
something you struggle with too?
for sure. I mean, I think you convince yourself it's like work. Oh, I'm scrolling Instagram or I'm
100%.
on Twitter or X. Sorry, Elon.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're on all these different platforms and, oh, I'm getting new ideas or whatever it might be. But I think the best ideas come from the silence. And I'm sure as you've surfed or have done some of your other things that things just connect, right? Like I think your brain needs space to breathe and kind of that moment, whether it's meditative or reflective, to kind of put all the dots together that you've been collecting. So I think for me, similar to you and surfing, like biking is something I do to just like get away.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's a book that I read occasionally by Ryan Holiday, Stillness is the Key, and that's something I've been trying to implement, especially like morning time. That's my like one time to be alone and quiet and just, you know, think about what I want to accomplish that day, how I want to feel, and just not be on my phone. And I think that's one of the biggest things for these young kids to have less anxiety and depression is not immediately look at the phone as soon as you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
You have that young, vulnerable brain, and it's so susceptible to what the world wants us to know and tell us. And it's like, how about let's think for ourselves for once, And that's something I have to have a balance and a discipline with because it's so easy for me to get caught and just I even get stuck in the algorithm sometimes just scrolling. I'm like, 30 minutes just went by. What did I do? What did I learn? I don't even remember the reels I was watching. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Yeah. And I think you talk about this too, but like waking up and the first thing you grab is your phone. And I think that's essentially giving your attention, your focus to someone else and telling you what to think or feel that day versus waking up, not picking up your phone, and whether it's reflection or just empty space for you to exist in, just figure out what you want to do that day. Because I think you get on that phone and you see something, then it triggers another action, and you've kind of outsourced your day already, right? Versus
100%.
just being focused and truly being creative. I think from food to media, it's all become kind of junk, right? And we're consuming it versus creating. And so for me, my biggest struggle is not consuming or essentially creating more than I consume, because it's so easy just to sit there and scroll and eat that and keep plugged into social media and not really like take a breath.
Yeah. I mean, you're mentioning food and it's, social media, it's triggering those parts of the brain that just the dopamine release and the addiction almost, and food can be that way, as like, you worked in the mega conglomerate industry where these foods are being processed solely for taste and how can we get them to eat it more and more and more and become addicted essentially, which is sad because it's not about the nutrition and the what are we doing good for our body. It's about triggering that dopamine response in the brain, which is so sad. And it's so cool that you've come from one side of the fence and all the way to the other because no one is doing what you're doing right now. I mean, which is amazing. It's so cool. No one is on the other side of the fence. It's like all these big companies are, they're only there for money. They don't care about the people they're touching. They don't care about, what I love about your mission is cancer and kids and doing something about that. You are really just, that's your mission. You're not creating food just to make a buck. You're doing it to help kids. You're doing it to help other people, and especially kids with cancer, which is really amazing, and it touches a soft spot in my heart because one of the things that you mentioned was you were getting an autoimmune test done at a hospital, and you were at a children's hospital, and the children had written, I think, quotes on a wall, and like one of the 7-year-old girls wrote pretty much, she was like, "You are stronger than you," or something like that.
You're
correct?
stronger than you know.
Than you know. Okay, yeah. And like, I'm like, wow, like that kid is going through cancer at a young age, has no idea like what like good health and what that feels like, and they're immensely struggling, and for them to have that like bright spot in their heart, that like touched me big time, man. And that was something really cool. And that's like what you're going after is essentially, you know, these young kids with cancer, and that's what you want to fight, and that's like so beautiful to me. So I really appreciate your heart, your soul, your passion for this mission. I'd love to hear more about like why that. I'm sure that struck a huge tone with you with having a kid now, kids now. And yeah, why did that just like single-handedly like flip the script for you?
Yeah, and her words are now, or have always been, on kind of the Lovebird poem that
That's
not
cool.
many people read, but you know, you're stronger than you know is within that. And I think that's the heartbeat of Lovebird, is really just how do we lift up that next generation. And I think when you become a parent or you're around kids, you just see potential in them, and you want to make sure that they reach their full potential, right? It is something so honest, so pure. And as a parent, you want to protect that, right? And you know you can't protect them from everything, but you definitely want to give them the opportunity to be the best version of themselves. And I think with Lovebird, having come from or worked at a large food company making things like Cheerios and Nature Valley and Yoplait and Totino's pizza rolls, which made me question what food even is. There's no one else kind of making sure that these products are made with the best ingredients, the best of intentions. And if you think about what brands used to be, and I think even what you're doing with Organic Jaguar as well, like there used to be someone behind it, right? You'd go to the butcher, you'd go to the local grocer, you'd go to the local farmer, and there'd be a person there, right? And eventually that became a brand, and now brands have evolved, I would say devolved into a faceless corporation that looks as everybody as a number or as a market share. How can we get them to drink more Coca-Cola? How can we get them to eat more Wrigley's gum? That's all they care about. And I think now it's interesting because big food sales are decreasing, and these companies are under pressure to make even more profit. So that's why you see, you know, chemistry experiments on the ingredient label, right? Like you read some of these things and you're like, what's in this product? It's barely food anymore. I think Dr. Mark Hyman calls it food-like substances, right? And having been in those rooms, the decision's easy. It's like, hey, we can save $10 million by using this ingredient versus that ingredient. And most consumers don't notice the difference. And so they're making the food worse, but more profitable for them because people have kind of stopped eating it. And so they need to squeeze all the profit out of it that they can. But with my mission, having been on that side, was like, how can I be a part of that change? And part of it was my own food is medicine health journey that you mentioned. But really that moment was when I became a dad. Like I remember, it's like distinctly, it's like pre-dad, post-dad for me. And seeing this little life form come into the world was incredible and just like rewired my brain. And that was kind of the spark that lit the fire to like go leave and create LoveBird with the intention of cleaning up junk food at the time. And then fighting childhood cancer, as you mentioned as well, became a part of that mission. And it really stemmed from, hey, I'm not looking at LoveBird or what ultimately became LoveBird as some sort of business white space opportunity. It wasn't like, hey, keto is trending and I'm going to create a keto cereal. It's like, hey, I'm a parent and I know how bad this stuff is made and what poor ingredients are used in this stuff. How could I clean it up with whole food flours and nutrition and sweetened with honey, not refined sugars or natural artificial flavors, pretty much the same thing. So it's founded off of that emotion. I mean, I was talking to some people the other day and they're like, how do you come up with the name? And I was like, it's a nickname I had for my daughter. And I was listening a lot to the Beatles' Blackbird song, which is, they have a lyric in it that's like, take these broken wings and learn to fly. And like, that's essentially how I view LoveBird, both helping kids make better choices and helping families make better choices, but also redefining the role of business. And I think, as you alluded to or mentioned, business for a long time has been just profit for the sake of profit. There's no other greater purpose. They'll make up these slogans like serving people food the world loves and nourishing one life at a time. And Nestle has these slogans. Meanwhile, you know, back in the day, they were paying for advertisements in Africa. I believe that their formula was better than breast milk and breast milk wasn't safe. And so there's just been this generations of distrust in these companies, and deservedly so. Like, they've done some pretty suspect things. And for me, it's like, how do I put the human back into the brand? How do I put the purpose back into the brand? And that's cleaning up junk food, cereal with real food from the earth, and fighting childhood cancer. And that story you told is like the moment that I picked up the childhood cancer fight as my own. Like, as a parent, as a new parent, I could not imagine looking at my child fighting that disease. It's the number one cause of death by disease for children, historically underfunded with just 4% of the federal cancer budget. And a lot of these kids, even if they beat it, they have lifetime issues because they essentially, I'm sure you're familiar with cancer and have had 1 degree away from it somewhere, but the treatment to date is just poison your body and hopefully the cancer dies before you do. And as a kid, you can't imagine what the rest of your life looks like, even if you survive that. You just nuked your entire body. Right. And I think getting to know some of these families have made it even more solidified in my mind, because a lot of these kids didn't ask to be a hero. Like, a lot of times they're like, oh, like, you're so brave going through this. And, you know, as we mentioned that story, like, that girl's 6 or 7 years old. She doesn't really know what she's up against. Right. And, you know, a lot of the parents I talked to is like, my kid didn't ask for this. They didn't ask for this battle. My kid just wants to go to school. Like, they're stuck in a hospital room. And during COVID, parents weren't even allowed to visit during chemo. And so I don't know. I mean, for parents, for me, for anybody with a heart, it's like the most vulnerable. You have an obligation to protect them. And that's why, in addition to all of those other things, that I took up this fight. And as you mentioned, right, like, the goal of LoveBird is not to sell to some big conglomerate company. It's how do I drive lasting change with products that people love, are made with real food, and a purpose that's, you know, without any barriers for us to get it done.
I feel that so deeply. Yeah, it's your mission first. You're not profit first. Like, you're going to make a profit so you can keep the machine going, so you can help more people. But ultimately, it's your mission and your heart is the reason why you're doing it, which is so cool. It's rare. It's rare to see nowadays. It really is. It's like, similar to you, I started Organic Jaguar because a lot of people deal with autoimmune, with psoriasis, with eczema, with skin conditions that they have no idea about. And then it's like, oh, wow, look at what you're putting in your body. You're putting on petroleum or mineral oil or whatever. And it's really sad. But for you to have such a clear mind and a real mission is super beautiful, because I think that's the way capitalism should work, is like, you're doing something for change, you're making a better product, you're continuing to make a better product than somebody else, instead of going down, how do I make this cheaper? How do I make this, you know, better for the shareholders? How do I make this more tasty? It's like, no. It's like you're competing against yourself, especially right now, because there's no one doing it. There's no one doing it like you, like us. It's really, really cool. It's really inspiring, to be honest, especially as a parent.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and maybe you have the same feeling as well, but I think starting something people often feel daunted by, whether it's a business, which seems pretty lofty, that's a big mountain to climb, or just, hey, I want to get healthy and I think I have to go train for a marathon. And it just, and I'm sure you relate to it. It's just like, take the small steps. Like I felt a calling, and people sometimes feel like that's like, the heavens part and you hear like angels sing. It's like, no, there's this a quiet voice that grew louder and louder over time before it was undeniable. And it grew louder and louder because I wasn't doing anything about it, and just breaking it down into parts. And we talked earlier about, cycling or surfing. It's no one's an expert the first time they get up on a board, if they even can.
Right.
But it's the fact that you go back and keep trying. And there's been a lot of things I've done that haven't worked, and it has not been perfect. And there's still a lot of things that we're changing and perfecting and optimizing and making sure that it's the best possible thing as we continue to grow. But it's just getting started, I feel like, is the hardest part. And talking to parents and friends who have followed the LoveBird journey, they're like, oh, you have it all figured out. You have all the health stuff figured out. I was like, I don't. No. There's new information every day. There's microplastics and everything. Yeah. Like, nobody knows what to do with those, right? But you just do the best you can. And I think giving yourself grace. I read some interesting statistic where they're like, the number one determinant of longevity is the number of close social relationships you have, not how fast you can run a mile, not how much weight you can bench press, not how healthy your diet is. And I think that social connection, like, I think oftentimes people lose the forest through the trees and they treat health as like an end. It is not.
No.
Health is a means to whatever end you want to pursue. You want to, I want to be healthy because of what? And I think having that purpose is what's going to have you live a full life. And I think sometimes that purpose can just start off small, but I think it starts off by, identifying problems that you have in your life and how can you solve them. And maybe there's other people that have them, and eventually a quote unquote business emerges, but just being authentic and following your passion, so to speak.
Yeah. How do you eat an elephant little by little? It's like, it's like, how do I start this? I originally just started as a shower filter, and then it was deodorant and sunblock, and it's so amazing to come to fruition. But like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing at the start. Right now, I still kind of, all over the place. I don't, know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just putting one foot in front of the other and slowly going through it. And yeah, it's really fun, and it's a deeper calling that I had, that I was like, okay, well, if no one else is doing it, I'm just going to do it. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I greatly appreciate that about you, because there's not a lot of people doing it right. So especially in the food industry, man, it's like, gosh, it's like we have so much greenwashed food now, especially with processed food. They're putting keto on everything, or like,
now it's protein and everything.
Yeah. And then, it's
I saw protein Pop-Tarts.
Oh, it's insane, dude. Yeah. Brown rice syrup protein. Like, how are you getting protein out of brown rice? Like, what? Yeah. It's sad. It's crazy, Bella girl. Yeah. It's wild. And I feel like a lot of people don't know what it's like to feel good. Like, I feel like a lot of people, brain fog or lethargic or just tired all the time, or like, oh, my stomach like hurts after I eat this, or like 2 p.m. crash. That's not normal. Like, that is not normal. And a lot of people, I think, are just, raised a certain way. They don't know any better about the education around their food and, what to do with their body and how to move. And it's just sad. And, of course, big pharma, big ag, big food targets them and like goes right after them because they're the weak point, and they can get a forever customer, and it's so crazy. So I'm so grateful for you educating people, for providing a better product. Like, that's so freaking cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think you're starting to see a lot more brands pop up, and it's cool to see this real food revolution, or just real ingredient revolution, whether it's in food or personal care products or whatever it may be. But I think what you mentioned earlier is key. It's like capitalism in its true form, like, works.
Yes.
That's how we are organized. That's how we've evolved. But when it doesn't work is when it devolves into cronyism. And I think that's what we've had for the past, really since World War II, with these big food companies, big ag companies, big pharma companies, where they're controlling everything, right? I was just reading something today that, prominent news anchors on Fox and CBS were told they couldn't talk about certain medications that were linked to Pfizer, right? And I think when you get that suppression of information, that's how you get some people where I just find it comical. Like a lot of the things that, a certain political side would have celebrated 5 years ago is now like the fact that we're taking artificial food dyes out of our food system is somehow controversial. Like petroleum-based, crude oil-derived artificial colors that serve no nutritional value are literally in there because someone ran a consumer focus group with kids and they like the brighter stuff versus the more earth tone colors.
Right. Which has also been linked to ADHD, anxiety, all this.
Yeah,
hyperactivity.
There's just no reason it should be in the food.
No.
Like, how could you defend it? It's like it's an indefensible point or position to have. And I think more and more companies and really more and more people are waking up and founding companies that will be the change. And I think, as you said about capitalism, it's like vote with your dollar. And as we talked about change earlier too, change doesn't happen all at once, right? It's like brick by brick. You either are building or removing them from a wall, and eventually all the change happens. And voting with your dollars like that. Every time you go to the grocery store, you buy LoveBird versus Cheerios, or you buy organic Jaguar versus Head and Shoulders. Like, you are making a choice and you're voting with your dollar. And these companies will change if their sales go down by 5 or 10%, which isn't that hard if enough people stop buying it. So that's what gives me hope is, whatever's happening at a high level in the political realm is outside of my expertise, but I think all the change happens on the ground.
Yeah.
It happens with people voting with their dollar. That's how it's always been and how it always will be. And I think I see more and more people waking up, demanding better, choosing better, and eating better. And I think, as you said too, it's waking up tired is not normal.
No.
Waking up with brain fog is not normal. But we've been trained to either treat that brain fog or tiredness with a medication, with a 24-hour energy, with a rock star, versus addressing the root cause. I mean, I saw something the other day too where some doctor did a TikTok and they're like, all of my patients are asking what the root cause is, and like they don't know what they're talking about. It's like, all right, let's give our patients maybe a little bit more credit. Like they live in their body.
Yeah.
They know something's not right. How many people do you know that were like, hey, I just felt off and my doctor said everything was fine. My labs came back normal.
Right.
And then maybe they did a diet change. Maybe they did a lifestyle change. Like Ozempic works because you lose weight. Like Ozempic isn't a magical drug. It's the fact that you're losing weight, and there's many different ways to lose weight and help improve your health outcomes. So I think the power is with the people voting with their dollar and just making themselves as healthy as they can be, and then helping others too.
I fully agree. I think we are starting to see where some bigger companies are waking up and they're taking out these little things that aren't really,
in 2028 or 2030.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Insane. And it's like, oh yeah, that's one of the 30 problematic ingredients that you have. And it's like, okay, well, you're just greenwashing once again. Like they're used to doing that. It's so crazy. It's mind blowing. Speaking about change, politics, all this kind of stuff, you and a bunch of other like health influencers, Real Foodology, y'all went to the White House, correct? And did a protest there?
I went to Battle Creek, where Kellogg's headquarters.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was crazy. So Vani Hari, or people know her as the Food Babe, kind of led this effort, essentially like storming the Kellogg's HQ and demanding that they take artificial food dyes out. And even some local governor and senators were there, and we were like knocking on the door, like, let us in. There's probably over a couple thousand people there.
Wow.
And they wouldn't let Vani in to go talk to them. I think Callie Means was there as well. And a bunch of other great influencers, Josh Axe, Will Cole,
So cool.
Just people fighting for better food for our kids.
Yeah.
And it just seems like a no-brainer. We talked about artificial food dyes. There's literally no reason for them to be in food except for profit for the company that sells it. Full stop.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be in food.
Yeah.
It gives food an unfair advantage. I've been in focus groups with my R&D team at my former company where I had a food scientist tell me, I was like, hey, why can't we use real strawberries in this yogurt? And she looked at me like I was crazy.
Oh my.
Like I had looked like an alien. And she's like, kids don't think strawberry tastes like strawberry. I was like, what are you talking about there? She's like, they want strawberry flavor, like artificial strawberry, natural strawberry flavor, not actual strawberries mixed in with yogurt. She's like, they don't think strawberries taste like strawberries. And I was like, stop, time out.
Yeah.
Have you ever make sure you wash your fruit, but wash your strawberries and you take that first bite. You're telling me that's not an amazing experience. We become so desensitized to our food. It's become so cartoonish of a version of what it used to be from nature that kids these days don't think a strawberry tastes like a strawberry. They want the Nesquik strawberry. They want their Yoplait with SpongeBob on it strawberry. And I think that's the disconnect where you start giving these foods to kids at a young age. Their expectation, like you started a kid on heroin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? And like, okay, like nothing else compares to that. Like that's what I want. And artificial food dyes, is removing those from the food system going to solve all of our issues? No, of course not. Does it level the playing field for most of America for parents to make easier, less difficult decisions for their family? Imagine you're in the grocery store walking your 5-year-old with you and she's like, Daddy, I want the one with the rabbit that's bright colored box and it has really fun color pieces and shapes. And you're like, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. And literal marketing strategies are called mom ask or kid nag, where it's get the kid to ask the mom for the thing. And so there's strategies that show up on like Nickelodeon and all these things that are kid adjacent to get kids to ask for these things. It's the toy marketing strategy, right? Everybody needs to have Hot Wheels. Everybody needs to eat tricks. So as a parent, this helps level the playing field so you're not under constant bombardment from your child to get them the thing that is not good for them, but they won't stop asking for as well. I mean, case in point, if you remember, Trix, the cereal, actually did remove artificial food dyes, I think in like 2016. And when they did that, you want to guess what happened?
No. What happened? I feel like either one of two things. Either the sales went down or nothing happened.
The sales dropped 50%.
Wow.
Within a year.
Wow.
And so you want to guess what the company that owned Trix did?
I mean, put it right back.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it works. Oh, man, dude. And so that's case in point that kids are only eating this cereal because it's brightly colored. Yeah. And so I think when you take out the artificial food dyes from Fruit Loops, from Trix, from Captain Crunch, sure, that alone might not make everybody healthier. But you know what they're eating less of now? Those cereals. You know what is also in those cereals? Refined grain, refined sugar, preservatives, seed oils, all of these things that are the cheapest of the cheap so these companies can make more money. And so when you remove those food dyes, you actually are making it a less desirable option for kids to eat. And maybe they'll choose something better. And maybe they'll be like, oh, I might, start my health journey by swapping this cereal for that cereal, or eventually get to eggs or some sort of breakfast meat for breakfast, or whatever it might be. It just starts that conversation. But I agree with you, right? Like Fruit Loops or Gushers or fruit by the foot. Like they took out artificial food dyes. You want to guess what's still in there? High fructose corn syrup. All of these horrible ingredients. Just barely food ingredients. So it's back to the analogy is like, how do you eat an elephant? It's like one bite at a time. And artificial food dyes is just one bite out of the elephant.
Right. It honestly enrages me that they can just legally get away with this. It's insane.
Well, who's paying for the studies?
Right. They are. Yeah, exactly. And like they only do it because a bunch of people pressured them, It's insane. It enrages me that we're allowed to do this. And it's like, I feel like we're one of the only countries that just really targets kids.
Yeah.
It's so messed up. I think us and New Zealand are the only countries that have big pharma on like commercials and whatnot. I mean, gotta imagine big food too. When I travel to different countries, sure, there's still Coca-Cola and like the bigger brands, but when I go into a grocery store, it's like half real food, half processed, which here there's 20 aisles and then you got to go around the whole store to get to the real like food. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
I like when I travel, there's always an American section or like I was in Spain a while ago and they had an American store and it was like Mr. Beast holding up Feastables.
Oh man.
You know, whatever that influencer is with Prime Drink.
Yeah.
And it's like the worst cereals you've ever seen in your life. And I get it's a bit of a novelty, but that's what they think of as American cuisine. And we have amazing food here. Like, you know, we have amazing farmers here, regenerative farmers. I forget the exact statistic, but there's someone who actually debunked, because a lot of defenders of glyphosate, defenders of...
How can you defend that?
Our industrial agricultural system that's built to produce the cheapest commodities possible, subsidized by your tax dollars.
Yep.
Disprove that from a former NIH member, where we have like 30% or more of the food we make in this country is thrown away.
Gee whiz.
So why do we need to continue to like get peak efficiency for corn, for soy, for all of these ingredients that are mass produced, and then they need an avenue to go sell them because they make so much of them. Mm-hmm. So that's how you get things like engine lubricant that ultimately became canola oil, that became in one of the fastest growing oils in our food. So I think we need to take a breath, realize that we don't need to make everything so efficient, and, you know, maybe operate from this point of view that new ingredients are guilty until proven innocent versus the generally regarded as safe loophole that allows companies to fund their own safety research to put the food in our system. I think since 1925, we had about 6 synthetic food additives. Today we have over 5,000 synthetic food additives in our food, and about 60 to 70% of our diet is ultra-processed food, which is also obviously ultra-processed ingredients. And I think that explains a lot of our issues, in addition to all the things that you're solving with Organic Jaguar, with hormone endocrine disruption due to chemicals in our personal care products. You know, we kind of live in a toxic soup. The good news is that our body is super resilient. Like, given the right circumstance, anyone can achieve health again, barring some unique medical conditions. Obviously very cognizant of that, but, you know, brain fog, feeling tired all the time, you fix your diet, you fix your sleep, you know, you fix going outside and getting some sun, you're going to feel better within probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's how quick it can change back.
Major. Wow. 1925 to now, and there's thousands.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's so mind-blowing. It's sad. It really is. How do we fix, or how do we start to fix the food system? So, you know, you're talking about conventional, you know, monocropping to going to fully regenerative, to where we're helping the water aquifers, the soil, the air, all that. Like, how do we start? Obviously voting with our dollar, of course, like at a consumer level, but at a mass level, do you have, you know, not a theory, but like a plan that you see that we could actually take, you know, execution with?
Whew, that's a big question. I think I would still start with vote with your dollar. I think there's a lot of cool brands, farmers that are doing things to help push it along. I think just being cognizant of your health and what's going in your body. I mean, quite honestly, just being selfish. It's like, do you want to be the healthiest version of you, and focus on that? And if everybody focuses on being the healthiest version of themselves, collectively, that's going to drive immense change. You know, there's a lot of things that are trying to be done politically with subsidization changes, things that I'm hopeful and optimistic they're going to help. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you want change, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah, we can't rely on the government.
And so making those changes for yourself will benefit you, and then also everybody else once everybody starts following along and figuring out what works for their body. So, you know, we use cassava that's regeneratively grown, and we try to support those farmers that are trying to do the right thing.
So cool.
But it is hard because we do compete in a aisle that's subsidized corn, subsidized wheat, subsidized soy, subsidized oats. Everyone's like, oh, why is LoveBird so expensive? I'm like, you're literally just paying for better quality food.
Yeah.
If you break down
real food.
Yeah. And someone broke down the budget or the money that goes into a box of Frosted Flakes, I believe. If you Google it, you could probably find it. But I think it wound up being like 10 cents of food in that box, 10 to 20 or something like that.
I'm not surprised, honestly.
Less than a quarter.
Yeah. And most of it's marketing after that.
Yeah,
right?
most of it's marketing. And a lot of it's just margin. With LoveBird, you're getting like exponentially more food in that box. Yeah. So it may seem like it's a lot more, but I mean, I believe you get what you pay for. I believe you are what you eat. Eventually it will catch up to you. Like everybody, when they're younger, they can, I eat Taco Bell, I'm fine. Like, right. All right, that compounded over time. And if you do that consistently, will catch up with you. I mean, I'm seeing some of my parents' age, their friends and people who didn't take care of their bodies just fall apart at 50, 60, 70. And those health issues didn't just happen a year before that birthday. No. That was decades before of poor lifestyle, poor diet, poor choices. And that's it's sort of like saving for retirement. It's $1 a day compounding over time. You're going to have $1 million in your retirement account. But if you're not making those contributions every day, it's going to become time to retire or time to turn 60 or 70. And you're going to be in pretty bad physical condition. Yeah. And at that point, it's pretty hard to bounce back because your body's just not regenerating as fast. Your muscle mass is declining year over year, even if you're staying physically fit.
Right.
So when you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s, that's when you bank all those savings in your health, right? And then you can cash that out when you're older in life and you can enjoy yourself. And I think a lot of people think of health as something like you're a monk. Oh, you have no fun. Huh. It's like, I have so much fun. You cook delicious meals.
Yeah, it tastes amazing.
They taste amazing, and they're way better quality than anything you'd buy at a restaurant.
Right.
Like real food, real health should taste good. It should be fun. I think there's probably a little bit of a speed bump to get over in the beginning, but once you're over that, you're cruising. It becomes a part of your routine, your lifestyle. 100%. I think it's people just making excuses of like they don't want to try. They don't want to look stupid. They don't want to fail. And that's growth. Like if you're not failing, you're not growing. And the same comes to your health. If you're not trying things that don't work and just adopting the status quo, like you're going to pay, that bill is going to come due when you least expect it and when you're going to have the least amount of opportunity to actually pay it off.
It's like two parallel lines. Like 1% doesn't work out and the other parallel line on top of it's slightly angled upward. And the more, you age, that person that didn't work out is staying stagnant, and that person that did, it's the difference of like a person that's worked out all their life at 60 years old versus someone who didn't is drastic.
Yeah.
Versus like 20 years old, person that works out doesn't, it's hard to tell sometimes, but like that bar gets significantly higher the more you go about it. And I think now the youth is waking up even more so. Like my little sister, she's dealt with a lot of autoimmune stuff, which when I was growing up, the heck is autoimmune? Yeah. I've never, ever heard of these things. Obviously, there's things in the medical community that's also putting an influence on that as well. But a lot of the food, with the glyphosate, all these things disrupting our gut, it's pretty wild. I think more and more people are waking up because they have to, because it's like, oh, I'm either going to be on big pharma drugs for the rest of my life, or I can try the natural route and start to change my diet and my, personal care products and my lifestyle. And like, I think the pendulum is swinging the other way. It's like, we have so much, big pharma, processed food, big ag, all this kind of stuff. And it's slowly starting to come back. And I think that's one of the positive things about social media is like the space we're in, we're able to educate others on like, hey, your gut issues are not normal. Hey, you eating, Cheerios for breakfast is not okay. Like,
but they're heart healthy.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, I think people more and more are waking up for sure. And I think we have a long way to go, obviously, but it's like, it's a cool thing to be a part of this warrior task force, if you will. You know, I was in the Marine Corps fighting for one mission. And then now that I'm out, like, I feel like us health and wellness people are still like fighting for a mission, and it feels really cool to be a part of. And I'm not anything extremely special, you know. It's like I'm really, you know, I'm not some extreme bodybuilder or David Goggins or whatever. And I think that's cool because it just goes to show, like, hey, anybody, you know, barring an injury or a weird medical condition, can be healthy, which is amazing. It's just like that speed bump, though. I love that you put that analogy. That speed bump of the first initial starting out on your health journey. It is hard at first to rewire your gut, your taste buds, your brain, your habits. It takes a little bit. It takes effort and it takes consistency. But like once you start to yield those results, then it almost gets positively addicting.
Yeah.
You know, it feels really, really good. So
yeah, and I think it starts with a mindset shift. Like when I was near the end of my time at my previous big food job, right? Like a lot of doubt starts to creep in. And I was like, I need to do this. I started, it sounds stupid, but like even just like at the time, cold showers were like, like very, maybe they still are. I stopped doing them, but like just doing that one hard thing every day was like rewiring my brain to do other hard things. It's I think I forget what branch of the military, but like maybe it was Marines. A guy gave a commencement speech, and it was like, always start your day by making your bed.
Yes.
Because like you do that, you accomplish something early, you set the tone for the rest of your day. And even if you have a bad day, you go back to a made bed, right? Yes. Like I forget exactly.
Navy. It was a Navy admiral.
Navy. But I was like, that's brilliant. Because like everybody thinks that's like, oh, where do I start to be healthy? It's just like make one change. Don't overcomplicate it. Do that change for, I don't know, a couple weeks, a month, add another one, add another one, add another one. And then that's how you ultimately get to a spot where it is a little bit more routine and seamless. But I would agree, like starting, if you're currently sitting on your couch in poor health, nowhere to start, it is daunting. You look in the mirror with the result of your choices, and I'm sure it is daunting. But there's always hope. I mean, you mentioned like your taste buds regenerate every 2 weeks.
Wow.
So if you were to cut out sugar for 2 weeks, you'd have a whole new taste buds. That kid who preferred Nesquik strawberry over an actual organic fresh strawberry taste, after 2 weeks of no Nesquik, they'd eat a strawberry and their mind would be blown. Like I watch it through my kids now. Like the first time they eat fruit, they're like little fruit, like crackheads. Like they love blueberries. Like it's amazing. And then some kid at school will hand them some nerds or something. And they're like, oh, well, that's the next level. Like, Dad, can I have some nerds? And I'm like, no. Like,
it's literally like heroin. Like you're saying. Like,
but it's like, and it's hard as a parent. Like you don't want to be the not fun parent.
Right.
You don't want to create any sort of food issues with your kid. And I think there's like a lot of great books now for kids and food, but you just talk about it as superfoods. It's like, hey, you want to be like strong and hardworking and smart and confident. Like these are the foods that nourish you. The other foods are just for fun. So you can have them occasionally, but make sure you're eating a lot of these superfoods if you want to like grow. And, you know, my son's obsessed with being super fast, right? And I was like, you eat that steak, you're going to be the fastest kid in school. Then he'll go outside and have me time him. He's like running. I was like, dude. I am so fast.
I love it, dude.
But it's just like you make it fun. You involve them in it, right? I think in the household, I always remember my parents being like, they're starving kids in Africa, finish your plate, and making whatever hamburger helper thing that they thought was healthy at the time and they didn't know any better. But you weren't involved in the making of the food at all. So I try to help my kids get interested in the food by having them in the kitchen, whether it's rolling me a potato or, you know, over peppering something as they dump the entire thing in, but it's just like fun. And then they feel a sense of pride and accomplishment when they make something and taste it. Right. And they're more connected to it versus me just being like, here's a plate of healthy stuff. Like, please eat it. You're not going to always win. I mean, same with your personal health journey. There's not always just wins. But every now and again it clicks, and now like they know the difference between a superfood and a fun food. And like that to me within itself is like a win.
That's cool. I like that analogy, the super and the fun. You know, it's because you're not like demonizing necessarily food.
Yeah, and at that age, they see their friends like, you remember a cafeteria? It's like,
of course,
trading like whatever. I mean, I worked on Lunchables at one point, and the way kids shop Lunchables, you probably know, but
the sides and stuff, right?
Yeah,
They're
the
like
candy. They're like, I want Snickers or I want Reese's. Like they do not care about what else is in that Lunchable. The overprocessed nitrate-filled turkey, the enriched flour, glyphosate-filled cracker, whatever barely cheese. It's just like the Capri Sun and the Snickers, and I'm good. Yeah. Like, that's all I need, Mom. Oh, man. And so I think they understand that, and I think tying that food to how it impacts your body is super important. Even like red produce, it's like, oh, it's heart healthy, and you simplify it, but like, oh, like that feeds my heart, or that feeds my brain, that feeds my muscles. I think drawing that logic for them, like it makes sense to them.
Yeah. I love that you're taking a balanced approach as a parent, where it's not like you're like, no, you can't have these sugary foods. I'm sure you don't keep it in the household, obviously, but like, when they go to a birthday party or at school or whatever, it's like you're giving them the education, and you're kind of saying like, hey, you decide after that. You're giving them all the knowledge they need, and when they're on their own 2 feet at school or whatever, they're figuring it out. And obviously the more, you educate them, the older they get, they're going to have, a lot better knowledge base than if they had no idea, and you had it at home. And I think that's probably the worst, is probably having the fun food at home. Yeah. So yeah, good on you, man. Cause I know, like for me, for instance, like having a helicopter parent I would have revolted. I would have been like, oh no, like I don't want that then, like
you're jumping out of the helicopter.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So good on you. Cause I know that's gotta be really tough to like.
It is tough. But I mean, I think kids are way smarter than we give them credit for. I mean, my daughter's like 6, my son's 4. There's older kids in the neighborhood, and I think you look at a lot going on, and you're like, is this generation gonna make it? Are they gonna be okay? But I think there's a lot of like good kids out there when given the right opportunities, and they're gonna definitely make this world a better place. So just like, how do we give them space to figure that out versus hovering and meddling? And I think we've all have had friends that were raised a certain way, and then they got to college or they got to wherever where they had ultimate freedom, and they just kind of crashed out. They're like, I was so helicoptered that once I had all of this freedom, I didn't know what to do. And so some of that is just like building that resilience, that grit, and just the curiosity to like encounter life, deal with it, and figure it out on your own.
I know we're talking off air about technology and raising kids. I know that's got to be really tough as well, and just something that's new for a lot of parents, and I think from what I've been hearing is that a lot of the younger kids are almost like kind of done with technology. Like they're like, having time where they don't have phones, or they're just like, oh, I want a flip phone now. Like I don't want to be like extremely engaged, because I feel like they're seeing like I think it's Gen A that's waking up, and Gen Z is the one they're like, I don't want to be like that, So, which is really cool. I think once again, it's like the pendulum kind of swinging back. So yeah, man, good on you for being a balanced parent, because I know that's got to be really tough.
Yeah, there's some crazy study that came out of kids and technology. I think it was shared somewhere, but the short of the long is kids were choosing technology because that was their one way to connect with their friends. So like growing up, when I had video games, I mean, I think we had like Halo back in the day where you could connect them and like play with each other, and eventually, Xbox Live and all of that. But kids are using that as a way to get away from their parents that are meddling too much. And so then the reason why they were choosing video games or choosing technology, Twitch, whatever, was to connect with their friends, because that was a spot that they felt free. And what they really wanted was connection with their friends. So if their parents let them go to the mall or go hang out and ride their bike to a friend's house, like they would actually abandon the technology and just spend time with their friends in real life. And I think there's a lesson in that, where the more you try to shelter, the more you try to protect, the worse outcomes are, because they're going to seek that connection And wouldn't you want them hanging out in person and having like fun experiences in the woods or
Right.
whatever, just being a kid? Like it's a great time. And I think as a parent now, it's so cool to see the world through like your kid's 5 or 6-year-old eyes again. Like how everything is so interesting, how everything is so brand new. You really get to live a second life. It's kind of crazy. And obviously you don't want to be like the dad vicariously living through your kid, but
gotta be a pro hockey
but
player,
just experiences like, oh, like Christmas is like mind blowing for them. Right. And so without all the consumerism stuff, but just like, it's so fun. It's so fun. It's so hard, but it's so fun. And I think they're going to be all right. I think technology, it's just funny. Even when we talked about companies with noble intentions, like I think OpenAI at the onset was an AI company, was supposed to like revolutionize the world. And now they just came out with like, was their thing Sora, the AI's video slop?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, here's the lowest common denominator that all of these aspirational companies actually net out doing, which is like, how can we make money? They're probably going to add ads to the platform, right? And so like things with noble intentions, you could argue if they were noble or not, ultimately, you know, go to the lowest common denominator, which is like mass consumption. So yeah, I don't know. I think kids are pretty smart and they can sniff out all that stuff.
That's cool that you're saying that like kids would choose real connection over technology because they were just trying to connect initially. And like you said at the beginning of this podcast that one of the major playing factors in longevity is having those real connections, those human connections, which is so cool. And I feel that when I didn't have friends coming to California and stuff like that, I was the loneliest I've ever felt and didn't feel good, even though physically and mentally I was fit, you know, looked like it, but, you know, in my head I was, you know, super sad. And yeah, it's we are going back to what's real, what's, you know, connection. I think, you know, in-person events versus like online stuff is starting to become more and more prevalent. And yeah, it's just cool. I think the pendulum in a lot of areas is swinging back the other way of kind of how our parents, our grandparents lived, which I think essentially is a better way of living for most, you know?
Yeah.
I want to bring it back to LoveBird, of course. You are really methodical on the ingredients you put in your cereal because most cereals have ingredients that hurt your gut specifically. Our guts having like an indicator of bloat or mental fog or lethargic, you know, that's where it's coming from. You've added ingredients that are amazing for your gut, like cassava flour, with it being extremely prebiotic, fiber rich. And then also, you know, adding natural sugars like honey and coconut sugar. And also collagen as well, correct?
I used to have collagen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just so cool that you're adding things to help your gut, not take away from it, because there's more neural connections in our gut than there is their brain. Like the way we feel about ourselves, how we go about the world, our emotions are all derived in our gut. Most people think it's the brain. And it's really cool that you're giving to the gut and not pulling away from like most. Where did that come from, that choice to use like cassava flour versus something else?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the cereal aisle, right? It is a rainbow of color and cartoon characters that do everything but say, look at my ingredients, right? Yeah. And when you look at the ingredients, they're as cheesy and artificial as the colors.
You need like a magnifying glass, like look at the ingredients.
Yeah, it's really not great. And on the back of the box is like I put what those ingredients are of like the leading chocolate cereal or fruity cereal or honey cereal. So when I was looking at cleaning up cereal, I was like, first you have to detox it, right? Take away all the stuff that's gut disrupting, inflammatory. So all the refined grain, refined sugars, refined vegetable oils or seed oils, obviously all the preservatives and artificial, even natural.
How's that legal? You know,
all crazy. Those like artificial or natural flavors and artificial colors. So there was a lot to remove, right? Yeah. Like essentially like tear down the house. And then it was a question of like, hey, what would you put in a cereal that is gut friendly and nutrition boosting? And it was whole food flours. It was organic cassava, organic buckwheat. Buckwheat's a complete protein, one of the few vegetables that is a complete protein seed. And then also the cassava prebiotic fiber and also resistant starch to help balance your blood sugar a little bit. So the base was nutrient dense. And then, I believe that good food should taste good too. And I love honey. I love coconut honey. Sugar. I love some maple syrup. All of those things are as perfect as they could be. I mean, there's literal tribes that used to hunt beehives to get the honey out of them, right? It was a sacred honey, I think, is really the original superfood.
I think so. I agree.
And, we use raw honey and we make sure we don't over bake it so it retains all of those core nutrients and vitamins in it. And so combining those things, you have, real food that actually tastes good. I think, one of the biggest, and I don't know if it was intentional, I kind of tend to believe it was intentional, of like making people think that healthy food shouldn't taste good or healthy food tastes bad. Like Big Food did that with all of their like diet food. Yeah, their diet food, right? Their 100-calorie packs that they took out all the fat and all the sugar and put in all the fake sugar and fat substitutes. Sugar-free. It's like, I don't think sugar is the enemy. I mean, we're drinking a juice here that probably has a decent amount of sugar, but it's coming from natural sources. Your body knows how to recognize and digest that. And as you talked about the microbiome, they recognize how to process that. Whereas some of these substitutes, this like David bar that's become super popular, they use, I think it's like EPG. It's like a modified plant fat, but they tout that it is less calories than your typical fat because your body doesn't recognize it and doesn't digest it. I'm like, red flag. Yeah. What do you mean? What? Like, I think your body should recognize most things, right? Like, I get difference between soluble and insoluble fiber, but like, this is something that's engineered to kind of trick your body. And I think a lot of these food-like substances just, it's like putting sand mixed in your gas into your car. It's like the engine doesn't know what to do with that. Yeah. If, best case, it just kind of flushes out. Worst case, it breaks the engine. Up, right? So for me, it was like, how do you remove all of those inflammatory ingredients and then add back the nutrient-dense ingredients as well and make sure it tastes great using real honey and unrefined coconut sugar.
Gosh, I love that. I love me some honey, that's for sure. So I think it's the only food that will never go bad. Like they found like honey in mummies, like Egyptian tombs. Yeah, just so cool. It's wild.
That's how I want to go out, just buried in honey.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome, And bears like clawing at you. Some really cool quotes that I got from a previous podcast of yours saying that we've never had more food but less nutrition and nutrients. We've never had more healthcare but have been more sick. And a majority of Americans are obese now, and it's like something needs to change. Something needs to change. And obviously what we're currently doing as the average person is not working. So having a fight in this with, something that you can fully believe in is so freaking beautiful. Let's see. Okay. So as a fast growing business owner, I oftentimes don't slow down. I don't see how far I've come. And these beautiful milestones that have occurred. And you're on a podcast in 2021 and you're talking about getting into a natural grocery chain in Minnesota and Erewhon in LA. How much have you grown since then, and how does that feel for you?
2021, what a time to be alive.
Right.
We've grown a lot since then, and I think it goes to what we were talking about, where there's a momentum, there's a large group of people that are just demanding better and supporting the brands that are delivering on that promise. So we went from probably, Erewhon and like Lake Winds Co-op in Minnesota, let's call that 15 stores then to over 5,000.
Nice, dude. That's awesome.
So like Whole Foods, Sprouts, really anywhere that's a natural food store, grocery store, and then some more conventional accounts. Like we've gotten some Costco business that are more rotations, but I think it is testament. I remember walking down a Costco aisle And whenever my product's on the shelf, like I always just kind of like linger and watch people.
Isn't that cool?
In a non-creepy way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was like, hey, why'd you pick, this product versus that product? And she's like, oh, that one has seed oils. I don't want to eat seed oils.
It's good content, by the way.
Yeah. I should have filmed it. I'm not that great of a content creator.
It's tough.
Like every time I meet like yourself and others that are really great at content, I'm like, you guys are amazing. Like
It's tough, man.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Talk about having like, it's like a baseball mentality. All right. 30% of the stuff I'm going to put out there is going to like work.
True.
If you're doing great, if you're doing great.
Yeah.
But like that was, to me, it's like people are waking up and they're demanding better. And there's a lot of other big retailers that are looking for items like this. And so my biggest hope is that it just continues to grow. And whether you buy LoveBird or whatever other product out there, just like know what you're getting and make a conscious decision for yourself, read ingredient labels, and just try to be the healthiest version of yourself. But it's been very humbling, and I'm very grateful for this ride that I've been on, and hopefully we continue to do it. Because like I said, to me, it's more of a box by box mentality. It's not, hey, like we're growing so I can go sell it. It's like, no, that means we're going to kick Buzz Bee Cheerios off the shelf.
Yeah.
Kick Toucan Sam off the shelf. Kick Tony the Tiger off the shelf.
Yep.
Like none of these things need to be on there, and there can be better for you replacements. And yes, they will cost some more money.
You get way more nutrients.
But you get more nutrients, and maybe you also then buy real food too.
Right.
Just even the playing field, because I think historically that playing field has not been even between better for you products and some of these big box cereals. Because like there's no government subsidies for cassava or for buckwheat or for honey. It's all for GMO sugar and all the other corn, soy, wheat, and oats. Not saying that those are inherently bad, but the industrial farm versions are not great.
No, especially not for the earth either.
I mean, like we are what we eat.
Yep.
What we eat is what the soil it grows in. So if it's growing in nutrient depleted soil, do you think that tomato has as much nutrients as something 50 years ago?
Right.
Probably not.
That's
why do you think
thought.
we need to take some of these supplements? Because you're not getting all the nutrients that we used to get from real food. And now when you grow it regeneratively, it's shown that you can restore the nutrient density to that soil. But you visit some of these industrial farmlands and it's
scary.
Yeah, I mean, at first glance, it looks like a farmland, but you see it in action. You're like, oh my, this is so efficient. It's so mechanical. And I'm not saying all of that stuff is bad, but it just like, it's so much, like there's no human touch.
Yeah.
And I always love going to like a farmer's market or a farmer stand and just seeing the difference between that strawberry or that blueberry or whatever's in season versus what's sold year round at the grocery store. The amount of time an apple sits in cold storage before it's actually consumed. Our supply chain is amazing, but to my earlier point, we're throwing away almost 30% of it every year. So why do we need it to be so efficient? Why can't we, make it a little less complicated and simplify food and have more local supply chains to get our produce from?
Yeah. I think we're getting to that point. I hope so. Yeah. I think I could only imagine looking at the soil and those industrial farms and just like seeing it's probably just powder, like
no bugs in it.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. Whereas like where I get my regenerative cow share from, I go like an hour and a half east and I get to see the soil that these cows have been pooping on for decades, and like how much perennial crops are there and just like how much life is like in the dirt that I'm stepping on is crazy versus like, I feel like going there, it's probably like the desert with, some fake synthetic fertilizers just to get the seeds to sprout and all that. And oh man, it's scary, but all we can do is vote with our dollar and educate others and inspire others to do better really. So yeah. New flavors. I got that asked a bunch on my story today about what I should ask you. Is there any new flavors in the pipeline?
There's some new flavors, but we have a new product that will be coming out in January that I'll show you offline.
Okay. All right. Sick.
But I'm pretty stoked about. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about it.
That's awesome.
It is a combination of nutrient density, but I've been asked for some more protein. So
Cool.
something that's going to be the best source of protein, but actually tastes good.
That's amazing.
So I'm excited about that. And then we did launch a protein granola recently too, which I think is great. Just simple ingredients, organic oats, glyphosate free.
I haven't seen that. I need to get that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Okay.
I'll send you some. It's
appreciate
really
it.
good. That's another one where it's like most people think granola is like super healthy, and then people in the know is like, not
No.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, go look
It's-
at the ingredients, and most of it
Yeah.
aren't great. And then the protein and sugar is, way out of whack. So the granola we launched was double the amount of protein, and then 25% less sugar, sweetened only with maple syrup. So it tastes great, and it also has like more nutrient density.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like granola oats, they're one of the most heavily sprayed glyphosate food items in the market.
Yeah, there was a study where I think in cereal where like 85% of cereals tested positive for glyphosate. And most of those are oat based. And so oats, it's used a lot. Corn, soy, really anything that's GMO, they can use it. That's why they use the GMO. So like the crop can resist being killed by the pesticide, but all the pests are killed, which is a little crazy.
Wild.
There's some study where like I think 90% of people tested positive for glyphosate in their urine, which I think even if it was something good for you, if 90% of people were doing it, there's going to be some effect, right? It's so huge. And a lot of these ingredients are tested in isolation, not the cumulative effect. So it's like, okay, this glyphosate and this bowl of Cheerios, at this level show no ill harm, debatable, but it does not take into account that your granola bar, your whatever else you're eating that day, the cumulative effect of all of those things in a day, what that does to your body. And I think it's one of those things where it's not a acute impact or illness that comes from it. It's something that develops over time. And as you said, right, like growing up, how many kids did you know had an autoimmune disease? I think now like 30 to 38% of preteens are pre-diabetic.
Oh my gosh.
Which is astronomically higher than it's ever been. So there's a lot of things in our food that shouldn't be there, but glyphosate on oats is something you should be aware of. That's something I always buy if you're consuming oats and grain, like buy organic. One sneaky one I wasn't aware of was chickpeas. Like I tested a bunch of chickpea products, and one of the chickpea products had more glyphosate than Cheerios.
Wow.
Which was crazy. And it was like a better for you product. And I was just like, all right, that's crazy. And so like anything chickpea I eat now it has to be organic because it's probably getting sprayed. So this is kind of the world we live in, but I think organic, I think it used to mean a lot. And then everything got there. I think at some point there was organic Oreos and organic this, sort of like protein is now.
Yeah.
And it got so trendy that it kind of lost its meaning, but it still means a lot. Like, especially in packaged food, the way it's processed, there's a lot of food additives that are used in the processing of the food that don't have to get labeled because they're like under 2% or they're considered a manufacturing aid.
Interesting.
Like hexanes or solvents and things that help it run on the equipment.
Right.
That are not used in organic certified products because they're not considered organic. And so I think to me, like with packaged food in particular, organic is a great cheat code that it doesn't have a bunch of junk. You still need to read the ingredients, and there's plenty of non-organic packaged foods out there that are still great. So I always start with the ingredients, but it is something to watch out for.
Wow. Yeah, glyphosate is pretty much an antibiotic. So it's not only, we eat it and then we need some good bacteria in our gut, and that's just stripping everything. And it's, over time, it'll strip all the good stuff that we need. So, and then leaving us with the system out of whack, and then autoimmune develops, and it's
you're sort of
scary.
microdosing antibiotics, right? And we wonder why we have increasing antibiotic resistance.
Yes, exactly.
Because our baseline is elevated, plus there's an overprescription of antibiotics there, which are very useful in
Correct.
cases you need them to live.
But they're over.
But I have kids now, and it's just shocking how easy the physician writes the prescription for antibiotics. And I'm like, well, do you think it's bacterial or viral? He's like, oh, I don't know. Well, if it's viral, the antibiotic's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So why are you prescribing this? So like, I think vote with your dollar, but also be your own advocate, which has somehow become controversial these days of like, oh, God forbid you read ingredients and read literature on things that, you know, might impact your health. Like just listen to mainstream media tell you what to think, drink, and eat. Like you'll be fine. Like, are we fine?
No.
Or is the country healthier than it was 50, 60 years ago?
Not at all.
What is like a loaf of bread used to have 4 ingredients. Now it has 32. Why?
Yeah.
There's only one reason.
Yeah.
It's profit.
Mm-hmm.
It's shelf life.
Yep.
It's
profit.
Mass production of food we don't need, and we're over consuming calories because they've made it so addictive it's hard to stop. Well, I think one of the chief people of the FDA, I forget his name, was on trial, and he literally said junk food is addictive. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, what are you doing about it? He just did nothing.
Yeah.
And then it's like you try to clean it up and you're labeled like a heretic. It's like, why don't we just put people first, not profit, and then give them information? And I'm very confident, given clear, transparent information, people will make the right choice for themselves and for their families. I think people want to be healthy.
Yeah.
They don't want to be sick.
Yeah, I fully agree. Oh my gosh. It's mind blowing to think about that the FDA, you know, said that. Who was it again?
It's like Robert Califf or something. He's a bow tie. I think I posted it on my Instagram.
I think I've seen that.
If you scroll down.
Oh my
but gosh. it was ridiculous to have him say that.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, who's funding a lot of their research, like PepsiCo, Nestle.
And that's the thing, they're lining the pockets of, you know, the politicians to keep this in production, to keep this. Don't worry about it. Like push it under the rug.
What does Ozempic do? It blocks that addiction signal from like your stomach to your brain, right? Like it's essentially a pharma cure for a big food problem, right? Wow. And so it's great, and it might help people in certain circumstances, especially people who are very overweight, but you have to be very careful. And I think oftentimes in our culture, everything's like a silver bullet or a quick fix. And that's really never the solution. Like if you have a leaky foundation in your house, like just a couple quick slabs of concrete's not going to do anything.
No.
You got to fix the whole thing.
That's a great analogy as well. Yeah. We in America especially are predicated on the quick fix. Everything. And nothing that's done quickly is worth having. That's always been the oldest saying, but it's true. And, you know, big pharma relies on that quick fix. Oh, you got these 3 symptoms? We got 3 pills for you. Yeah. Then you got to take another 3 pills for those symptoms, and then, you know, compounds.
I think it was Brigham Butler or someone who's like, name me, or like, congrats pharma on X amount of years of existing and 0 diseases cured.
Right.
Like, what?
No, yeah, we don't want to cure anything. That would lose us customers.
Yeah, there was some article where an investment banker was concerned about a pharmaceutical company's future because the business model wasn't profitable because people were like getting better.
Wow.
Which, like, I don't think it's that crazy just to follow the incentives, right? Like, what are they incented to do? And that's to sell as many drugs as possible. Yep. And that's how you get the opioid crisis. It's like there were no checks, there were no speed bumps, there were no guardrails. It's just like, you know, push this out to as many people as possible. And a lot of them, you know, sometimes maybe they help people. I'm not here to say every medication's bad, not at all, but it's the overconsumption of food and the overprescription of medication is just kind of delaying the self-healing process of the body, that if you were to take all that stuff away, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would bounce back.
I agree. That's very well said. What's next for the business and what's next for you personally?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think 2026 will be a big year. I'm excited about the new product. It's something I can't wait to have people see and taste.
Awesome.
It's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it just continuing to spread education and awareness on the page. And, anytime you interact with Lovebird, like it's me on Instagram.
Yeah.
I may not always respond super quick.
Oh, it's tough.
But I don't know. I think just trying to, my goal isn't to just sell cereal. Obviously that enables me to grow and spread the mission, but just have people become more aware of what they eat, and whether it's Lovebird or whatever, doesn't matter to me so much. Like success to me is like people taking control of their health and, go do your own research, go figure out what works for your body, because everybody's different. But I think a lot of the things in our society today are not contributing to your health. So just being mindful of that is where to start.
I love it, man. You put the people and planet before profit. And I think that's a huge thing that not a lot of people do. And I'm grateful to know you, to have you in my life. And I'm so grateful to be in this health mission together and help others get happy and healthy. That's all I could ask for. And I'm about to snack on some Fruitio's LoveBird, which, by the way, I let my milk saturate for about 10 minutes because I like it a little mushy. It might be a little too much now, but regardless, I love that, man. I'm so grateful for your products. I remember DMing you years back asking about it, and you sent it to me, no questions asked, and ever since then I've been freaking loving it. So thank you, Parker. Thank you for being on the podcast, man. This is a pleasure. A lot of emotions derived in myself with being enraged with the freaking FDA and big food, big pharma, big ag, but nothing's new here. But also feel a great sense of peace and love and passion from you as well. So I'm so grateful to have you on this journey. And yeah, man, thank you for doing it the right way.
Likewise, thank you for having me. And I think you would share this sentiment too, that we're both optimistic about the future. I think you mentioned the pendulum swinging, and I'm very hopeful. And I think it starts with the people. It's the people making decisions for themselves, for their families. And that's how real change happens. So box by box, product by product, food by food is how we kind of reclaim our health.
I love that. Yeah, man. We're doing it little by little,
Yeah.
There's no end point to it. It's a beautiful journey, and we get to curate that. So super
Absolutely.
cool. Where can people find you?
You can find Lovebird on lovebirdfoods.com, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and we got a couple other retailers we'll announce in January that we're really excited about. But doesn't really matter where you buy Lovebird as long as you give us a try. We have little sampler packs on our website too, just to help people try it. And one thing we didn't mention for anybody listening that lives close to a school or who has kids in school, we do offer a LoveBird K through 12 cereal swap. So this happened when I was actually just finishing a workout, and my daughter came home and was like, "Daddy, look what I got." And it was like a small box of Fruit Loops. And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's starting." I'm like, "Where'd you get this?" And she's like, "Oh, from school." I was like, "Oh, that's great, honey. Like, that's a fun food, as we talked about earlier." And then I fired off a post being like, "All right, I will price match any cartoon character cereal at any school and swap it for LoveBird at no added cost to the school." And we've actually made some headway. That system is a convoluted mess of special interest, though. It's a podcast for another day. But long story short, there's two companies that supply all of the cereal to these schools, and they actually sell sometimes full sugar products there, but sometimes slightly reduced sugar products there. So they might have lower sugar Cocoa Puffs at school, get introduced to the brand, and then be like, "Mommy, can you go buy it for me at the store?" Go to the grocery store, buy the full sugar Cocoa Puffs, and then get hooked that way. And you talk to these school food service directors, and they want to do right. They want to make good decisions by their students. Some of them not so much, but most of the people I talk to for sure want better options. Yeah. We're like, "Well, my budget's $2 to $3 for breakfast per kid. What am I supposed to do?" And so that's how that price match came to be. So anybody listening, just Google K through 12 LoveBird cereal swap. We'll try to get to work. We've made some progress with some schools up in Northern California.
That's cool.
Which is really exciting, and some daycares and churches too. Really anywhere that stuff's being served, we want to eliminate it.
Dude, good for you, man. That's amazing. Because I'm sure you're probably not making any profit on that.
No,
So,
no.
Yeah.
It's
you
like
might be losing something.
it's one of those
else,
like
but-
business decisions. Like if I were back at my old company,
Oh,
they'd be like,
They'd
"Stop."
fire you. Yeah. You'd be gone. You'd be
But this
toast.
is just a mad parent that's like, we can do better here.
I love it. I think that's where a lot of change comes from. Oh, you don't want to mess with a pissed off parent.
Yeah.
You're toast.
Yep.
You know, and we're not talking glyphosate enriched wheat flour toast either.